So this week was the launch of the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5, but just like how I am waiting before I purchase either console, I'm going to take a break from covering them this week. I mean, honestly, nothing out of the ordinary has come out for either of those consoles. Like, there's ones with issues, there's consoles running faster than the other. It's all the same stories that we see every single year with every console war that comes out. So I'm going to take a break this week from talking about consoles. I'm going to talk about the two things I did check out this week, which was playing a game called Fuser and what came out of the AEW Games event. So to jump right into it, this last Tuesday I picked up HarmonX's next big music game, Fuser. Taking some of the tech from their drop mix board game, Fuser takes DJ mashups to the next level, allowing you to create your own mixes. From the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical of this game as I wasn't hearing much about it from anyone or anywhere. But the gameplay itself, from what I had seen, looked super fun, and I can report to you that really it is super fucking fun. It's super fluid and intuitive, and with that, that sense of easy to pick up but difficult to master. There's nothing more satisfying than creating a mix that just works. And to be honest, there's very few songs that don't work together in this game. HarmonX did a great job of blending and, dare I say, harmonizing all of these wildly different genres. I gotta say, I am pretty impressed by the experience, but I can also see where it might get repetitive and maybe even old at some point. But with the promise of continuous DLC, similar to what we've seen in Guitar Hero and Rock Band, for new tracks, it's possible to have endless new mixes. I know that, like, when I have some downtime in between, while I'm waiting for a video to finish exporting or something like that, it's easy to just load up and start fucking around in the game. It's very fun to play as well. So it's just something I've been really enjoying. While I'm not saying it's a must-buy, I definitely think if you're on the edge of getting it, you might as well. Otherwise, it's definitely, I don't know if it reaches that $60 in my mind just yet. Like, I think it's more of a $40 title if you really ask me. But at the same time, I think with enough elements in it, like with enough, see, that's the problem. When in my mind I'm relying on like DLC to make this game even more exciting, that brings down, I think, some of the value of the game. Like when I'm thinking, they'll probably add more gear sometime and they'll add more songs and stuff like that. That's all stuff I'm gonna have to pay for later. So I mean, just put that into your minds before picking up the game. Otherwise, I mean, you're gonna have fun while playing. If you're into music games, I definitely think you'll enjoy it. It's the next best thing since Rock Band came out for HarmonX. I even enjoyed DJ Hero and stuff like that. So I was super into this game. I love mashup songs, so it's definitely something I'm super into. Also, on that same Tuesday, we got our first look at AEW's games and what they're working on. And what we saw from the most part was that they're working with Yuke's on making their console debut. The game that they showed off, it has that kind of cartoonish style that you might have expected from an earlier WWE game, somewhere around like No Mercy and stuff like that, which definitely gets a lot of people excited because that's what people want to be playing again. No Mercy was such a great game in lots of people's minds. I was a big Here Comes the Pain kind of kid, and I was super into SmackDown versus Raw up till like 2008 and everything. So I was these old games were so well put together, and you were able to do so much and so much creativity. That I'm not gonna lie, there was always some faults, but there were always a lot of things you could do. Creating your own moves, managing rosters, GM mode, all that stuff. You put out these great games back then, and then they kind of dropped those engines. They let stuff slip through the cracks pretty much, and when 2K took over, anything that was before just kind of was washed away, and we really just lost a lot of the fun aspects of what made a wrestling game unique and fun. And personal, because when you're able to create so much in a wrestling game, it becomes more like your own creation. You know, when you create things, you love it more. And I think a lot of people like miss those days. Like I remember the creator wrestling community is still huge. Like I know like SmackDownHotel.com and stuff like that, still operate and still run, and they're talking about like how to make different stars in games that often look better than the characters that they put in these 2K WWE games. We saw a big break this year for 2K because they just the 2019 was just such a fucking mess of a game. They needed to stop. And I know Vince doesn't give two shits about the WWE brand in video game form. So that being said, what we did see from the AEW side was exciting because we're getting back. It seems we're going back to those roots that made wrestling games more fun. And Kenny Omega is a massive gamer and a massive fan of video games and stuff like that. And he's been talking nonstop about wanting to make something more what we used to get and bring it to the modern era. And I think that's big. They did show off 2 mobile games. Those weren't too impressive in my mind. One was a casino game, which they didn't actually show any footage of the actual game. They just showed people at a casino. And I'm imagining it's going to be like a gacha system game or something like that. It's just going to be a casino game, like any other casino game. The other one was a GM mode type game, but what they showed off of the animation in it was just kind of lackluster. They weren't like actually doing moves. They're just kind of sliding and hitting each other. Not even like an animation for punching. It was just like, shoom, he slid and hit him and lose points and stuff like that. But I mean, I guess the whole point is more of the character management and stuff like that. Like, how are you going to handle your wrestlers and stuff like that. So we'll see like if when that game comes out, how much they really thought about the background stuff that you're allowed to do. So I mean, that's what makes GM mode fun. Like a lot of people just simulate fucking matches, and most of like SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 and stuff like that. You're able to just skip the matches. So I mean, if it just comes down to spreadsheets and stuff like that, and it looks and it works and looks how old GM modes did, I can totally see that working. I mean, but there are other mobile games out there that already are just like GM mode in the past, and you get to see the wrestlers actually fight each other and stuff like that, or even control them and play as them. So So I guess I was just a little bit underwhelmed when when those first leaks came out that same day, and they were showing off a GM mode that was separate as a separate game. I guess I was expecting something bigger. I didn't expect it to be a mobile experience. I tried not to read too much before the actual event that happened because I wanted to have genuine reactions for you guys when I did my live reaction stream. And that's still up on Twitch if you want to check that out. You can see me reacting to what they were showing off at the time. So definitely make sure that you're following us on Twitch, because you missed out on my big Fuser debut stream and my AEW reactions this last Tuesday if you weren't following us, especially since I didn't announce that I was doing those beforehand unless you were actually watching me on stream last weekend. That's when I actually talked about it. So make sure that you're actually following me on Twitch and or catching the replays of things that I cut down on our YouTube channel. The Amazing Nerd Show is on YouTube, it's on Twitch. We do stuff every single weekend, so definitely check us out there. I'm excited for the future of wrestling games. I do hope that they polish. I'm not too much of a fan of going back to a cartoonish look. I want maybe something a little bit more realistic looking, but I want it to feel like those old games. Like I want next gen, No Mercy and stuff like that. That's what I want. I don't want it to look too cartoony, but I mean, if that's what gets the nostalgia button, that's what it is, So I mean, those are my main thoughts so far on the AEW games. I'm going to be, covering that story as we go on. It's definitely something exciting to me. I'm going to keep up with the news for you guys. All right, now let's get on to some actual wrestling and actually some more AEW, because we're going to review Full Gear.
Hey, this is Christian.
Hey, this is Damon.
And this is the Amazing Nerd Show.
New episodes and live streams weekly.